The massive alien ship hung in the sky above New York like a shining silver coin. It had appeared 3 days ago, and after much panic and confusion, the aliens had finally asked for a meeting with Earth's leaders. They called themselves the Stellar Alliance, and they wanted to talk about Earth joining their space federation. The world's top officials gathered in the UN building, waiting for the alien representative to arrive. General Tom Baker stood near the window, watching the small shuttle descend from the mothership. His fingers kept touching the strange weapon attached to his belt, humanity's newest and most secret invention. The other military leaders had called him crazy when he proposed it, but his team's research showed it would work better than any gun or bomb. The alien captain walked into the room, looking very much like a tall human except for his bright purple skin and silver eyes. He introduced himself with a complicated name that everyone quickly gave up trying to say. The Earth officials just called him Captain Smith, which seemed to amuse him. "We have studied your civilization," Captain Smith said in perfect English, thanks to his translator. "You have great potential, but we need to evaluate your military capabilities before we can offer membership." He looked around the room with a smile that showed his very white teeth. "Please, show us your best weapons." General Baker stepped forward, his heart beating fast, but his voice steady. "We would be happy to demonstrate our latest military innovation." He pulled out what looked like a bright blue pool noodle, modified with various attachments, and a trigger mechanism. The room went completely quiet. Captain Smith stared at the object, his silver eyes blinking rapidly. "This is your advanced weapon." "Yes," Baker said proudly. "We call it the Spice Launcher Mark 7. He held it up, showing off the carefully engineered spray system that could shoot a concentrated blast of what his team called the mixture, a carefully calculated blend of ghost peppers, wasabi, concentrated garlic, and several other spices that Earth's toughest soldiers could barely handle with protective gear. The alien captain started making a strange sound. At first, everyone thought he was choking, but then they realized he was laughing. He was laughing so hard that he had to hold onto the table to stay standing. You expect to defend your planet with a toy that sprays cooking spices." He wiped his eyes, still chuckling. "I thought humans were simple, but this is beyond absurd." General Baker kept his cool, even though he could feel his face getting red. "Would you like a demonstration?" "Please," Captain Smith said, still laughing. "Show us how you plan to defeat advanced energy weapons with your, what did you call it?" "Spice launcher." Baker pointed the weapon at a target set up in the corner of the room. He pulled the trigger, and a fine mist shot out, hitting the target perfectly. The effect was immediate. Captain Smith's laughter stopped. His silver eyes went wide, and he started coughing, then sneezing. Then his purple skin turned an interesting shade of blue. What is that smell?" he gasped, backing away from the target area. "It burns. How is it getting through my personal shield?" The other officials watched in surprise as the mighty alien representative, protected by the most advanced technology in the galaxy, was brought to his knees by what was essentially weaponized cooking ingredients. Captain Smith stumbled toward the door, still coughing and sneezing. "This meeting is over," he declared between sneezes. "You will regret this insult." He practically ran from the room, leaving behind a very confused group of Earth officials. General Baker picked up the data pad the captain had dropped in his hasty exit. On it was a message being sent to the Stellar Alliance fleet. "Humans, primitive and delusional. Using food as weapons. Recommend immediate subjugation for their own good." Baker smiled as he read it. He knew what was coming. An invasion by an advanced alien force that had no idea they were about to face an army equipped with the universe's most ridiculous yet effective weapons. He looked down at his spice launcher with pride. Sometimes the simplest solutions were the best ones, even if nobody else could see it yet. 3 weeks after Captain Smith's hasty departure, the invasion began. 100 alien ships appeared in Earth's orbit, their silver hulls gleaming in the sunlight. The Stellar Alliance had decided that humans needed to be taught a lesson in humility. Commander Rogers stood in the military command center, watching the alien ships on the big screen. Around him, soldiers were prepping their spice launchers and checking their supplies of what they now called cosmic seasoning. Some of them were wearing T-shirts with Earth's Kitchen Warriors printed on them. Someone in the ranks had a sense of humor. "Sir, they're broadcasting a message," a young operator called out. The alien commander's face appeared on the main screen. He had the same purple skin as Captain Smith, but looked much more serious. "Humans, your primitive civilization has insulted the Stellar Alliance. Surrender now, and we will be merciful. Resist, and we will show you what real weapons can do." Rogers picked up his microphone. "This is Earth Command. We respectfully decline your offer." He nodded to his weapons officer. "Launch Operation Hot Pocket." High above the Earth, specially designed satellites released clouds of superfine spice particles. The aliens, watching from their ships, seemed confused by the strange readings their sensors were giving them. "What is this foolishness?" the alien commander demanded. "Our scans show food particles. You dare to." His voice cut off as the ship's air filtration systems did exactly what Earth's scientists had hoped. They sucked in the spice clouds, spreading them through the vessels. The first distress call came 30 seconds later. "Command, something's wrong with the crew. Everyone's sneezing. We can't see. Our eyes are watering." More calls followed. Ships started drifting out of formation as their crews struggled to operate their advanced technology while dealing with what felt to them like tear gas mixed with pepper spray. The aliens' sophisticated bioshields, designed to stop energy weapons and projectiles, did nothing against the microscopic spice particles. On the ground, the first wave of alien troops wasn't doing any better. They had landed outside major cities, expecting to find primitive humans cowering before their advanced weapons. Instead, they found soldiers armed with what looked like pool toys and garden sprayers. "Fire at will," Rogers ordered through the comm system. All across the world, human defenders unleashed their spicy weapons. The alien troops, who had been laughing at the sight of the bizarre weapons, quickly stopped finding it funny. "What kind of chemical warfare is this?" One alien squad leader screamed over an open channel. "My troops are crying. How are they penetrating our shields?" Rogers watched from a safe distance as a group of aliens in high-tech battle armor ran away from a soldier with what looked like a modified super soaker filled with diluted wasabi solution. Another group was trying to retreat from a cloud of aerosolized garlic powder, but they kept bumping into each other because their eyes were watering too badly to see. "Sir," his second-in-command reported, trying not to grin, "the enemy is requesting an emergency retreat. They're saying something about cruel and unusual weapons of mass discomfort." The alien ships were already pulling back, their formations messy as crews struggled to pilot, while dealing with the effects of Earth's spicy defense system. Several ships bumped into each other, their pilots unable to see through their tears. "Should we pursue?" someone asked. Rogers shook his head. "Let them go. They'll tell others what happened here." He picked up his personal spice launcher, admiring its simple design. Sometimes the best weapons aren't the most advanced ones. They're the ones your enemy isn't prepared for. As the alien fleet retreated, leaving behind some embarrassed ground troops who had surrendered after being hit with what they described as weaponized cooking ingredients, Rogers started planning the next phase. He knew the Alliance would be back, probably with some kind of counter to their spice weapons. But that was okay. His team had already started working on Phase 2, Operation Mint Madness. It turned out that alien biology was especially sensitive to peppermint. Earth had won its first interstellar battle, armed with nothing more dangerous than the contents of a spice rack. And somehow, that made the victory even sweeter. The Stellar Alliance's top scientists gathered in their main research facility, trying to understand how they had been defeated by what they kept calling food enhancers. On the main screen, Videos showed their troops running away from humans armed with what looked like toys from a swimming pool. Back on Earth, General Baker walked through the new Spice Warfare Development Center, which had previously been a hot sauce factory. Lab workers in white coats were testing different spice combinations, while engineers modified water guns and garden sprayers into military-grade weapons. "Sir," a young scientist ran up to him, holding a tablet. "We've made a breakthrough. Look at these scans of the alien bioshields." She showed him a diagram where the spice particles passed right through the energy barriers like they weren't even there. "Their shields are designed to stop energy weapons and bullets," she explained excitedly. "But they never thought to block something as simple as spices. It's like trying to stop a tank with a butterfly net. They're focusing on the wrong thing." Baker smiled as he watched a test where a small drop of ghost pepper extract completely disabled a captured alien combat suit. The Alliance had built their defenses against lasers, plasma, and explosions. They never imagined they'd need to defend against something you could buy at a grocery store. In space, Earth's first spice-based space weapons were proving just as effective. The human ships looked weird, with giant tanks of what they called super sauce strapped to their sides, but nobody was laughing anymore. Well, nobody except the humans. "Enemy fleet approaching," reported the radar operator on the Earth defense ship KN. "They're charging their plasma cannons." Captain Green smiled and pressed the red button on his command chair. "Deploy the Ghost Pepper Protocol." Giant sprayers on the ship's hull activated, creating a cloud of microscopic spice particles in space. The alien ships flew right into it, their air systems sucking in the spicy cloud. Within minutes, the enemy fleet was in chaos. "My crew can't stop sneezing," one alien captain yelled over the communication channel. "What kind of monsters are you humans?" "The kind that likes their food spicy," Green replied calmly. "Would you like to try our new wasabi torpedoes? They're especially effective against purple-skinned aliens who don't know when to retreat." The alien fleet pulled back quickly, leaving behind several ships whose crews were too incapacitated by sneezing fits to pilot properly. Earth's rescue teams had to help them, wearing special protective gear that the aliens soon nicknamed anti-flavor suits. In the Alliance's main military headquarters, the War Council was having a hard time writing their report. How could they explain that their mighty fleet, with its advanced technology and trained warriors, was being defeated by what amounted to aggressive seasoning? "Perhaps," suggested one old alien general, "we should try to understand why their weapons work so well." He pulled up a diagram showing how human biology was different from theirs. "Their bodies can handle these chemical compounds that they call spices. In fact, they eat them for pleasure. But to us, they're like 1,000 tiny needles attacking our senses." Another general slammed his fist on the table. "It's not fair. We spent centuries developing energy weapons and plasma cannons. They're just throwing hot sauce at us." Meanwhile, Earth scientists had made another discovery. Different alien species had different reactions to various spices. Some couldn't handle black pepper, while others were completely disabled by mint. They started creating custom blends for different types of aliens, like a very deadly spice shop. Baker looked at the latest weapon design, a missile that would release a cloud of everything seasoning in the upper atmosphere. The aliens would never expect it. They kept looking for some secret advanced technology, refusing to believe that humans had simply weaponized their love of spicy food. "Sometimes," he told his team as they prepared for the next battle, "the simplest solution is the best one. And sometimes, the best military innovation is just finding a new use for something you already have in your kitchen." The Stellar Alliance had finally had enough. After 3 humiliating defeats by what they now call the Spice Demons of Earth, they sent in their most elite fighting force, the Star Warriors, led by Admiral Jones. Of course, that wasn't his real name, but humans couldn't pronounce the 20-syllable growl that was his actual name. Admiral Jones stood on his command ship, watching Earth grow larger on the view screen. His troops wore the newest anti-spice suits, which the Alliance's best scientists had developed after studying the captured footage of Earth's weapons. The suits were supposed to filter out any food-based attacks. This time, he told his crew, "We will show these humans that proper weapons beat cooking ingredients." His ship carried enough plasma cannons to melt a small moon. Surely that would be enough to defeat some humans with modified pool toys. On Earth, Commander Rogers watched the massive alien fleet approach. This was different from the previous attacks. These ships were bigger, meaner, and covered in weapons. But he had a secret weapon of his own. "Launch Operation Buffalo Wing," Rogers ordered. Across the planet, hidden launchers activated. They didn't fire missiles or lasers. Instead, they shot thousands of small capsules into space. The capsules looked harmless, like tiny bath bombs. Admiral Jones laughed when his sensors detected the incoming objects. "They're throwing small pods at us. Scan them for explosives." "Sir," his science officer reported, looking confused. "The scans show hot sauce, extra hot sauce, and something else we can't identify." "Ignore them," Jones ordered. "They're trying to trick us. Our new suits will protect us from their primitive spice weapons." The capsules hit the Alliance ships and burst open. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Jones smiled, thinking their new defenses had worked. Then the ship's air system made a strange sound. "Sir," the engineering officer shouted, "the capsules, they're not just spices. They contain some kind of superfine powder that's clogging our air filters." That was Phase 1 of Operation Buffalo Wing. The powder, actually a mix of flour and powdered sugar, gummed up the ship's complex air filtering systems. And with those systems blocked, "Release the sauce satellites," Rogers commanded. Small satellites that had been hiding behind Earth's moon sprung into action. They had been waiting there for weeks, each one carrying tanks of what the troops called death by flavor, a special mix that combined every spicy substance Earth could produce. The Alliance ships, their air filters clogged with powder, had no defense against the spicy cloud that surrounded them. Even their new anti-spice suits couldn't help. They needed the ship's air system to work properly. "My eyes!" Admiral Jones screamed as the spicy air filled his bridge. "It burns." How did they know about the suit's weakness? He didn't realize that humans had simply gotten lucky. They hadn't known about the weakness. They just really liked the idea of clogging things with powdered sugar. Earth's forces watched as the mighty Alliance fleet fell into chaos. Some ships tried to fire their weapons, but it's hard to aim when you can't stop sneezing. Other ships tried to retreat but ended up crashing into each other because their crews couldn't see through their tears. "Sir," Rogers' communications officer reported, trying not to laugh, "we're getting surrender signals from 3 enemy ships. They're begging us to turn off the spices." "Tell them we'll help," Rogers said, "but first they have to sign our new treaty, the one that classifies sriracha sauce as a weapon of mass destruction." As the Alliance fleet retreated in shame, leaving behind their commander's ship and several support vessels, Earth's forces celebrated another victory. They had proven once again that sometimes the best military innovation wasn't about having the biggest guns or the strongest shields. Sometimes it was about thinking so far outside the box that your enemies don't even know there is a box. Next time, Rogers told his team as they watched the Alliance ships limp away, "We'll show them what happens when we weaponize garlic bread." The biggest battle of the Spice War started with a sneeze. Not just any sneeze, but one that echoed through the Alliance's biggest space station. An alien guard had accidentally opened a package from Earth labeled "Peaceful Offering, Mild Seasoning." He thought it was safe because it said mild. He was wrong. The package contained what Earth's forces called Operation Fresh Mint, a new weapon that used peppermint so pure it made humans' eyes water. To the aliens, it was like being hit in the face with an icy sledgehammer. Commander Rogers watched from his stealth ship as the space station descended into chaos. Aliens were running through the corridors, sneezing and slipping on their own tears. The station's warning sirens were drowned out by the sound of 1,000 alien noses trying to escape their faces. "Begin Phase 2, Rogers ordered, trying not to smile as another wave of sneezes echoed through their surveillance feed. Earth's attack fleet moved in. They didn't look very threatening. Their ships were painted with pictures of chili peppers and garlic cloves, and their main weapons looked like giant spray bottles. The Alliance's remaining defenders tried not to laugh, right up until the spraying started. "What is that smell?" screamed an alien officer over the emergency channel. "It's like HU." His transmission cut off in a fit of sneezing. The humans had discovered something interesting about alien biology. Their super-sensitive noses couldn't tell the difference between mint and spice. Both were equally devastating. The new attack combined both, creating what one scientist called the ultimate nose nightmare. Inside the station, Rogers led a boarding team wearing what looked like modified beekeeper suits. They carried their spice launchers proudly, each one decorated with little stickers of flames and peppers. The aliens had started calling them flavor troops in their emergency messages. "Remember," Rogers told his team, "these are the aliens' best warriors. They've been trained to resist our normal spice attacks." He held up a small spray bottle. "That's why we brought the secret weapon." The secret weapon was actually just regular toothpaste mixed with water. After weeks of studying alien biology, Earth's scientists had realized that even the mildest mint flavor was too much for them to handle. The Alliance's mighty warriors, who could survive plasma burns and energy blasts, were completely defenseless against something humans used to brush their teeth. The boarding action was almost too easy. Every time they encountered alien resistance, one quick spray of dental doom sent them running. Some aliens tried to fight back wearing full environmental suits, but they hadn't counted on humans being clever. "Release the menthol bombs," Rogers ordered when they reached a particularly strong defensive position. The small bombs burst, releasing a cloud of minty freshness that seeped through the smallest gaps in the alien suits. The defenders started sneezing so hard their helmets fogged up. One alien tried to shoot at the humans, but sneezed so hard he fell over. "This is ridiculous," the alien commander shouted from behind his barricade. "You can't defeat elite warriors with breath freshener." "Watch us," Rogers replied, and threw a candy cane at the barricade. The aliens dove for cover like it was a grenade. By the end of the day, Earth forces had captured the Alliance's biggest space station, using nothing more dangerous than things you could buy at a convenience store. The aliens signed the surrender document with shaking hands, trying not to smell the peppermint tea one of the human soldiers was drinking nearby. "You don't understand," an alien scientist tried to explain to Rogers after the surrender. "Our species evolved in a place with no spicy or minty plants. We never developed any resistance to these chemicals. To us, your weapons are like—" He paused, searching for the right words. "Like being punched in the nose by a smell." Rogers nodded sympathetically and offered the alien a breath mint. The scientist ran away screaming. As his troops secured the station, Rogers couldn't help but laugh at the situation. The most advanced alien civilization in the galaxy had been defeated by the contents of a spice rack and a tube of toothpaste. Sometimes the best weapons were the ones nobody expected to be weapons at all. The grand meeting hall of the Stellar Alliance Council looked more like a hospital waiting room. Alien representatives from 100 different worlds sat nervously in their chairs, each wearing some kind of protective gear. Some had nose plugs, others wore full environmental suits, and a few had simply stuffed cotton in their nostrils. The human delegation was about to arrive, and nobody wanted to risk exposure to what the Alliance now officially classified as weapons-grade seasonings. General Baker led the Earth team into the hall. He carried a simple briefcase that made everyone very nervous. The last time humans had brought a diplomatic package to a meeting, 3 alien ambassadors had to be carried out sneezing. "Welcome to the Alliance Council," said the head speaker, his voice shaking slightly. "Please confirm that you are not carrying any cooking supplies." Baker smiled, and placed his briefcase on the table. Every alien in the room leaned away from it. "This contains only mild diplomatic materials," he said, "though I did have curry for lunch." Several aliens gasped. Others covered their faces. One representative from a particularly sensitive species fainted at just the word curry. "You don't understand what you've done to the galaxy," the head speaker said, trying to sound stern but keeping a nervous eye on the briefcase. "Our civilizations have lived in peace for centuries, with clear rules about weapons and warfare. But you've turned food into weapons." "Not weapons," Baker corrected him. "Just creative solutions. Did you know that humans have been using spices to solve problems for thousands of years? They preserve food, improve health, and now—" He paused for effect. "They preserve peace." A small alien in the back raised a trembling hand. "Is it true what they say, that humans eat these chemical weapons for pleasure?" 1 year after the Great Spice War, Earth had become the most feared and respected planet in the galaxy, not because of its military might or advanced technology, but because every alien species now knew that humans casually ate things that could knock out an entire space station. The new Earth Embassy on the Alliance's capital world was easy to spot. It was the only building with a 1-mile safety perimeter around it. The warning signs read, "Caution, humans eat here," in 17 different languages. The cafeteria had better security than most military bases. Commander Rogers, now Earth's chief military advisor to the Alliance, sat in his office watching alien ships carefully navigate around Earth's new defense network. Instead of laser satellites or missile platforms, Earth had deployed what they called the Spice Belt, a series of stations that could release clouds of various seasonings if any hostile ships came too close. "Sir," his alien assistant called through the intercom, "the trade delegation from Planet Blue is here for their—" "There." The assistant paused, clearly struggling with the word. "Their cooking lesson." Rogers smiled. The cooking lessons were part of Earth's new diplomatic program. Any species that wanted to trade with Earth had to prove they could handle at least mild spices. It was basically military training disguised as a culinary class. The Blue Planet delegates arrived wearing what looked like spacesuits. Rogers led them to the embassy's special training kitchen, where several bowls of mac and cheese sat waiting. "Today," Rogers announced, "we will be trying Earth's beginner-level food. This contains only the smallest amount of black pepper." The aliens looked at the innocent-looking bowls like they might contain nuclear waste. The bravest delegate stepped forward, lifted his protective mask slightly, and took a tiny bite. His blue skin turned purple, then green, then back to blue. "This is tolerable," he gasped, eyes watering. "How do human children survive this?" "Oh, this is the kids' menu version," Rogers said cheerfully. "Would you like to see what we serve in our spicy food restaurants?" All 5 delegates took a step back. One of them started writing what looked like a last will and testament. Meanwhile, in the Alliance's main military academy, General Baker was teaching the new course called Defense Against Culinary Arts. The classroom had better ventilation than a nuclear bunker. Today, Baker told his alien students, "We'll learn why you should never try to invade a planet where the inhabitants voluntarily eat capsaicin." He held up a jalapeno pepper. The entire class ducked under their desks. Earth's influence in the galaxy grew in unexpected ways. Human restaurants became classified as military installations. Earth cooking shows were treated like weapon demonstrations. One alien civilization built a museum dedicated to Terran chemical warfare that was actually just a display of different hot sauces. The most surprising change came in the field of medicine. It turned out that some alien species could use extremely diluted spices as medicine. A single drop of mint, diluted in 1,000 gallons of water, could cure certain alien ailments. Earth's pharmaceutical companies started marketing extremely mild mint tablets, now with 99% less mint. In the embassy garden, Rogers had planted a small herb garden. The Alliance insisted on marking it with biohazard signs. Every morning, Alien tourists would gather at the safety barrier to watch in horror as Rogers casually picked basil and oregano with his bare hands. The humans are insane. They would whisper to each other. They grow weapons in their gardens and put them in their mouths. One day, as Rogers enjoyed a spicy chicken sandwich in his office, behind special air filters to protect his alien colleagues, he read a report about the galaxy's new military spending. Instead of building bigger ships or better plasma cannons, every species was now investing in what they called anti-seasoning technology. Maybe, he thought, taking another bite of his weapon-grade sandwich, we should show them our desserts next. Wait until they find out about mint chocolate chip ice cream. The galaxy would never be the same again. Earth had changed everything, not with advanced technology or superior firepower, but with the contents of its spice racks. And somewhere out there, alien scientists were still trying to figure out how humans could possibly enjoy something as terrifying as a curry.